Story 1. AITA for threatening to call the police on my brother's obsessive classmate and calling her a creepy weirdo, which made her cry. I, 19F, have a younger brother, Liam, 16M. Liam transferred to a new school halfway through the academic year due to health issues. That's where a girl I'll call Riley, 17F, became fixated on him. They shared a few classes, and she quickly became very attached, bringing him snacks, walking with him everywhere, constantly messaging him. At first it seemed innocent, and even Liam didn't mind, though he only ever saw her as a friend. But things escalated. Riley became possessive. She'd get upset if Liam didn't reply to her texts right away, or if he spent time with other female classmates, even platonically. Liam tried to let her down gently, explaining he didn't return her feelings. She acted like she understood, but the obsessive behavior continued. After school ended, it got even more disturbing. Riley started dropping off little gifts on our porch, despite no one in our family ever giving her our home address. I'd spot her parked down the street sometimes while I was out for my evening run. Our parents brushed it off as teenage crush behavior or coincidence, but Liam began withdrawing socially and confided in me that her actions were making him really uncomfortable. I told him he needed to draw clear boundaries. He tried. When he called her to set things straight, she screamed at him, called him names, including homophobic slurs, and he ended up blocking her. But she didn't stop. She kept parking near our home and even tried to start a nasty rumor online, claiming Liam gave her an STD. When I found out, I was furious. So the next time I spotted her sitting in her car nearby, I went straight up to her. I was beyond angry. I don't remember every word, but I definitely told her that her behavior was disgusting and disturbing, especially considering Liam is younger than her. I told her if she didn't back off, I'd contact the police. She started crying and called me heartless before speeding away. Back home, my parents noticed I was upset, so I told them what happened. Instead of being worried about Liam, they rolled their eyes and accused me of making a big deal out of harmless teen drama. Liam, on the other hand, was really grateful. Not long after, Riley deleted the rumor posts. Since then, I've received a handful of DMs from people who say they know both Riley and Liam. They accuse me of being too controlling and claim that guys secretly enjoy the attention. I honestly don't care what they think as long as my brother feels safe again, but I do wonder if I might have gone too far. So, AITA? Story 2. AITA for exposing my dad's abusive past in front of the entire family. Last weekend, my husband, 36M, and I, 35F, brought our daughters, one is 5, the other is 14, to a big family cookout. It's the one annual event where both my mom's and dad's sides come together, so it's a pretty big deal. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, all the kids. It's the only time everyone's in one place. It's also the only time I really see my immediate family. Growing up, my father was emotionally, physically, and verbally abusive toward me and my siblings. As the oldest, I usually bore the worst of it. My mom wasn't a victim. She never was. In fact, she often accused us of lying whenever we spoke up about what he did. Because of all that, my relationship with both of them is complicated at best. The only reasons I've maintained any connection are because of my mother, and because they had another child later on, a daughter who's still underage. I want to be in her life. When we arrived at the barbecue, my dad instantly started acting the way he always has, bossing people around, making rude comments, directing his negativity mostly at me. I did my best to ignore him and not make a scene. About 2 hours in, some of the adults decided to step out for a bit to catch up, leaving the kids with the grandparents. I was planning to go, but when I realized that meant leaving my daughters under my dad's supervision, I immediately backed out. That triggered him. He got upset, accusing me of holding on to the past and hating him. I calmly told him that after what he did to us growing up, I would never be comfortable letting him watch my children. He scoffed and said I was exaggerating, that he never really did anything that bad. Then he added something that pushed me over the edge. He said technically he was only watching one of my daughters because my husband and I adopted our 14-year-old when she was 13. That was it. Years of pain, anger, and trauma bubbled up, and I let everything out. Right there, in front of everyone, I told the truth. how he slammed me into a wall so hard I got a concussion, how he twisted my brother's arm until it snapped, how we grew up terrified of him while Mom stood by. Silence fell over the gathering. Everyone just stared at him. The joy vanished from the day. I gathered my husband and our kids and left. It's been nearly a week. My mom and dad won't stop calling and texting. They say I scared my 15-year-old sister and ruined a family tradition. They say I should have kept all of it private. Since then, almost half of the family has cut my father off, and I've gotten a lot of support. But I feel awful. I'm terrified I may have put my mom and sister in more danger by speaking out. I've also been completely cut off from both of them. The family is now divided. My daughters are scared of their grandparents now, which breaks my heart. Even some of my siblings think I went too far. So, AITA for exposing my dad's abuse in front of the whole family. Updates. Hi again. I appreciate the support. It truly means the world. I wanted to give some updates and clear up a few things. This is not a fictional post. This is a shared account I sometimes use with my daughter and best friend, which might explain the variety of posts. I sent an email to everyone who was at the barbecue, apologizing for how intense things got in front of the kids. I regret scaring them, even if what I said was true. I also emailed the relatives who have been supportive, especially those who live close, asking them to check in on my mom and sister regularly so my dad can't isolate them further. Tirarpayo, my husband and I tried to get custody of my sister 4 years ago, but we live out of state, and my father has significant financial and legal influence. CPS has been contacted before, especially after phone calls where my sister would cry to me. But because this time the abuse is verbal and more subtle, there's not enough evidence for the system to act. We had honest, age-appropriate talks with both our daughters about what happened. The conversation with our 14-year-old was especially hard. She's a survivor of the foster care system and had been through similar abuse before we adopted her. I've spent the last few hours crying into my husband's chest. I feel helpless, afraid for my mom and sister, and lost without contact. I still haven't figured out a way to reach either of them directly.